Hey, what is going on, IK Familia? It is your boy, BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder. We are back again today for our slow round out. Thankfully, we were able to at least get a good amount of data points pulled here for the most used ToK skill series. Today we're looking at Frederick, which is going to be our 5th Fire Epic Immortal. And as always, before we get started, make sure you guys sub to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and of course, ring that notification bell to get updates when we have new content coming out. Okay, here we go. Now, we essentially went up to server 50 for all the ToK skill pulls that we did from players. Again, as most of you know, we do our threshold at 160k troop power. That means you have to be at least at that or above in order for us to pull data, or I should say when I pull data on players that are using the specific immortals based on the ToK skills that they have selected. And then they also have to be using at least 3+1, which means 3 immortals of the same element type along with the same elemental dragon, just for more accuracy when we do pull the data. Okay, now let's go ahead. So this is going to actually be a top 4. It's going to be a little different than what we've done before, and it probably is. I mean, maybe if I did 10 more servers, I probably could have found a few more, but just given for sake of argument, we're going to have Frederick kind of be a top 4 this time around, and we'll explain why shortly. Okay, number 4, Cleave. Number 3, Berserk at 10 as well, and you guessed it, Lifelink. Joking, more so on the 10 number. So these 3 all kind of tied for second, and then we have the number 1 most used ToK skill at Fighting Will for 12. Again, we were able to pull 39 out of 45. So still really close, even though we are missing about 18 additional skills that we could have selected or found out and then populated here into the spreadsheet. But again, given we only went up to server 50, this is what we have for now. So Cleave, Berserk, Lifelink, and Fighting Will, we're going to go ahead and break these down in game. Now, let's start with the skill. We'll do stats, and then of course we'll go over to ToK. So Path of Flame is Frederick's skill. Inflicts physical damage with a damage rate of 156 up to 520 on enemy targets directly ahead, which means we're looking at the row, and recovers your HP equivalent to 30% of the damage amount. So, in short, the more damage that he does, the more that the skill will scale off of his damage or his physical damage, right? The more HP that Frederick will recover. Now let's look at his stats. Yes, almost double strength compared to intelligence. You can see physical attack is almost 3 times the amount of magical attack. And then we have physical defense edging out magic defense. Well, obviously, we'll have to see how that scales up to 40, but kind of gives you an indication, as usually this is not the norm. Most of the time, we typically see magic defense leading out as the number 2 stat when it comes to physical, magical, offense, and defense. Okay, now we have that under the way. Let's dive into the top 4 skills. So, number 4, we'll just start in order how we showed it. We'll look at Cleave. So Cleave, we have every normal attack has a 75% chance of causing extra physical damage with a factor of 22.5 up to 75% to 2 nearby enemy units. Okay. Now, keep in mind, right, even if we, watch, let's go back here. Let's pop up Frederick. We'll look at stats, okay? So, the one thing that we don't see here, right, is, as an example, something like attack speed. So, my assumption here is that because we don't see a specific attack speed, all the immortals have a flat attack speed rate that is the same across the board, right? And again, if anyone has tested that out, and you've looked at how many attacks an immortal is able to get in kind of unimpeded, you know, and there is some data to show that, I'd love to see it. As of now, just going off of a default assumption of that all the immortals have a baseline attack speed, right? That means that for now, only active skills or support skills or ToK skills would be ones to either have that go up or down. So with Cleave, right, each normal attack has a 75% chance of causing extra physical damage to 2 nearby enemy units, right? Again, every time you have a successful attack, you're able to do additional damage, right? So again, a good universal skill. I actually like to see these skills more so on attack speed or I should say with or in addition to attack speed oriented skills attached with them, but still a good base skill even if you don't have, or if you already have those skills on running on someone else. I still think Cleave is a good universal skill. Next, we'll look at Berserk. And this is a similar combo, right? We often see a lot of kind of like the Berserk Cleaves where Berserk increases attack speed 3% up to 10% and restores a small amount of HP with every successful normal attack, 9% up to 30%. Given this is an aura, you can only attach one of these per an immortal. So again, going with the attack speed, the vampirism, or the lifesteal, if you will, on top of Cleave, I think, again, is a good combo, one that we often see. Okay, now we'll look at Lifelink. Every 6 seconds after the battle starts has a 50% chance of creating a lifelink with 2 enemy units. They will share your received damage. So again, keep in mind, I do somewhat like this on Frederick, mainly because the thing that I enjoy seeing the thing that I enjoy seeing is that on Frederick's case, right, he doesn't have a shield, right? He may not have a high or super high defense stat. Obviously, we'll have to see how those look once, again, as we've mentioned, Immortals get to 40, and we're able to see some of those kind of late game level 40 stats on top of other areas. But I like that because he has lifesteal, right? It is, in short, a sustain skill that he has, similar to others like you would get with a Gaius and a Charles, right, where they have their shields that they can proc to have longer sustain throughout a fight, therefore allowing for something like Lifelink, right, where, again, they share, right, they'll share your received damage. Again, I actually think is a good skill on Frederick, based on, because he's getting more HP, and therefore, hopefully, he'll be able to sustain longer in the fight, arguably, than other immortals that do not have some kind of shield or HP, or high HP regen, or if they don't have some kind of lifesteal effect. Next, we're going to look at is Fighting Will. Fighting Will. This is the every 20% drop in the number of soldiers will deal physical damage to all enemies. Has a 13.5 up to 45% chance of rooting them for 6 seconds. That damage rate is 45 to 150. Again, I just think Fighting Will is a good universal skill. No matter how you look at it, regardless of who you put it on, it is just a good skill in general. So that rounds out our top 4 skills here for Frederick, along with some explanation of my thoughts on some. Let me know what you guys think, as always, in the comments below. Do you like this kind of top 4 ToK skills that we're seeing used for Frederick? Do you have a preference on 3 out of the 4? Do you prefer to even go with 3 different skills that you find to be more favorable when you run Frederick? Let me know anything and everything down there. That is it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch y'all later.